Lum gets it from the shotgun.
A competitor, someone who is trying to win or do better than all others, especially in a business or a sport. To be an athlete, you must live by a different set of rules. At times, you may have to ignore some pain. But does that drive to be great overshadow your safety?
It's out on the flat. Dormy makes the catch.
I have a concussion right now, and it is your brain getting flushed down the toilet.
If it's rotated or jostled too much, it can damage the blood vessels, which would cause bleeding.
Sexy rider, number 14, Tyrone O'Gara.
But that's really not the biggest concern. The biggest concern is tearing some of these arteries.
I can't focus, I can't see straight, I can't remember things. Yeah, it's great, it's real fun, yeah, no.
But the thing to remember is that this is used forever, and you can't replace it, and the trauma, the blunt trauma to the brain, is cumulative. So each time you get hit, it increases the risk of doing further damage.
I started playing football right when I could start, Pop Warner, so I guess I was 7 years old. I've had four concussions, 2 in college and 2 in high school. I'd say the 2 in high school were more serious, and the 2 in college were more precautionary. The first concussion I got was a play. I was running out to try to get in the end zone. I was on like the 5-yard line and I dove, and me and this other guy from Colonia High School, we just went head to head.
It's the big hits usually. It's when you're able to see what happened and there's a big head contact. Either they fall on the floor or they go head to head with someone, an elbow, a ball, whatever. If you see that and you see the person look stunned, that's the first indication. I've had people walk to the wrong huddle, walk to the wrong sideline. I've had teammates come up to me and say, hey, so-and-so doesn't seem like they're doing right. So there's different ways to notice whether the person is feeling normal.
If you ask 50 football players, to be completely honest with you, lots of them have a headache pretty much every day after practice. So a lot of them have come to be able to deal with that and realize that it's not necessarily a concussion. But I think people who have had to sit out a fair amount of games from previous concussions, sometimes they kind of take a chance and hide their symptoms so that they don't have to sit out anymore.
I tried to convince my trainer that I wasn't concussed, but he asked me what I had for lunch that day, and I couldn't tell him what it was. So the trainer had to hide the helmet from me on the sideline, and I tried to convince him that I wasn't concussed, but he wouldn't let me back on the field.
Probably in 30 years, I'd say about 5 patients that decided to stop playing. 4 were football, 1 was a basketball player. And a couple of them, even one this year, where the patient had symptoms for weeks. Those are disturbing, especially when there's impairment in their ability to do well in their classes.
My one concussion was from football, and I was out for a week. But even that, like the days afterwards, it wasn't like clear. I couldn't focus that much in school, so had a pretty big impact on my grades when I had a test.
When I was concussed, I couldn't really focus as good, and I had some motor issues like with balance and stuff like that. But as far as schoolwork, I couldn't really concentrate and get work done.
You don't really want student athletes after a concussion going to class the next day, staying up all night studying, even to the point of playing video games, texting, all that. You're using your brain. Your brain is the organ that's injured during a concussion, so you need to rest that. That being said, to really answer your question, I've seen many student athletes that struggled remembering things, struggled being able to study for a test. So we've had to, in the past, we have had to limit student athletes and take them out of class for extended periods of time in some instances. There was even one case 6 or 7 years ago where a student athlete actually had to take incompletes and withdraw from the semester because he just couldn't do it.
They realize that they're not going to play professionally. They're going to use this brain for a lot of things besides just playing football, baseball, whatever. And that's probably the most profound characteristics or life-changing event, and you decide to stop your career.
Have you heard of any effects that it could have in someone's life?
I heard if it's like worse, it could actually like kill you.
Well, I think the biggest danger is second impact syndrome, the biggest long-term danger. That's when you have a concussion and you go back to activity before you fully recovered from the first concussion. If you take a second hit, that can literally be life-threatening and catastrophic. If you get hit before you recovered, that you can die.
Since that first concussion, I now have had 5 concussions. My worst concussion was my senior year of high school. I was snowboarding for the very first time, and I had a helmet on, and I fell, got back up, and I fell again, and we don't know which hit it was, but I ended up cracking my helmet. And then a week later in gym, I went to sit against the wall, and it was this cinder block wall, and because my depth and balance was off, I just sat back and nailed my head against the wall. And we went to the doctor, and we saw a specialist, and they told me that I had basically 3 concussions at once. There were things I'd forgotten during school, like can't think of what it's called.
I haven't come across many people that are more competitive than I am, and sometimes you don't really think about your health first, you think about winning, and I think that gets in the way of it sometimes. If I think I was truly concussed now, knowing what I know, I don't think I would try and lie and try and get back into the game because it's really not worth it.
Athletes tend to push through everything. I mean, that's why they're good. That's why they're able to participate. They can ignore some pain, and so they don't want to stop playing. Their passion is to play their sport. Additionally, they know that if they have a concussion, they're gonna sit out, and so a lot of them know that, and they don't want to sit out, and they'll hide those symptoms.
At this level, which we obviously do send some players to the NFL, a lot of people that's their goal, and if they're not on the field, they can't continue to work to make that happen. So I think it's a little bit of trying to get money, trying to get fame, trying to provide for your family, and a little bit of the young person mentality of nothing can happen to me, I'm invincible.
Don't use your head as a weapon. People lead with their head all the time because it can get an extra yard, it can help you in your match, but it's really not worth it. Pay attention to the symptoms and don't try to play through them because everyone is so completely variable with every single concussion. It's just not worth having permanent brain damage.
We know because of your love and your passion for the game, you are more reluctant to show that you are hurt. But remember, the choices you make just don't affect you. They affect you and your loved ones. So use your head, be smart, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste.